wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox.
Shopping for a banking institution? Visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities, contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
With NWKS Radio News, I'm Lucas Kenny. The American Red Cross has declared only the second national blood supply crisis in its history after blood donations fell to a 4-year summer low, deepening an emergency shortage that threatens the availability of life-saving blood. Despite thousands of people answering the call to give, blood donations are not keeping pace with hospital demand, which is up during the summer trauma season. For more information, you can visit redcross.org. In other news, just after 9:30 p.m. on Friday, July 24th, 2 people were traveling on U.S. Highway 283 when a deer entered the roadway and their vehicle struck the deer. A 2016 Ford Explorer was driving northbound on U.S. Highway 283 around milepost 159 when a deer entered the roadway from the east and they struck the deer. One was taken to the Graham County Hospital and both were wearing their safety restraints. For more information on these local stories and others, visit nwksradio.net.
After last night's rain, today we're going to start off with some patchy fog. Then we'll be clearing in the afternoon with muggy conditions. Sunny skies will push temperatures to around 93 with east-northeasterly winds around 10 miles per hour. Could see some showers and thunderstorms late this afternoon and evening. Damaging winds are possible up to 70 miles per hour. Heavy downpours leading to some nuisance localized flooding with overnight low temperatures in the middle 60s. For tomorrow, we'll have those afternoon thunderstorms once again. Be partly cloudy with a high of 93. East-northeasterly wind around 10 miles per hour, and that chance will be likely in the evening and overnight. Marginal severe weather threat of isolated microbursts and wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour and that brief heavy rainfall. Overnight lows will be in the upper 60s. Thursday, we'll have decreasing storm chances and temperatures climbing into the middle 90s. Meteorologist Chris Schrumick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Summer's made for road trips, lake weekends, and getting out of town. And Hurl Chevrolet GMC has the ride to get you there. Drive a new 26 GMC Terrain with $1,750 in total customer cash when you finance with GM Financial. Or take home a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation with $7,000 in purchase allowances with eligible trade-in or 1.9% for 60 months. Plus, save $1,000 in the 26 Sierra 2500. Adventure starts at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Online at hurlchev.com. GMC, professional grade.
When fraud strikes, every second counts. At FNB Bank, we take your security seriously. Our local team monitors for suspicious activity and responds fast, so small issues don't turn into bigger problems. I'm Jessica Von Little at FNB Bank. We are your first line of defense, protecting you, your money, and your peace of mind. FNB Bank, local, trusted, here for you. Member FDIC.
Here's a bright idea. Kansas deserves fiber internet. Not just Kansas City and Wichita. Little places like Buhler. That's where we started. IdeaTech provides high-speed fiber internet to 75 communities and counting. We're working to bring fiber to as many towns in Kansas as we can. High-speed internet shouldn't just be for the big cities. Another bright idea from IdeaTech.
Get IdeaTech fiber internet at ideatech.com.
Where do the best memories happen? Not in the living room. They happen out back. Build the perfect backyard with patio furniture, fire pits, grills, and smokers from Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Then tackle that fence, new roof, or weekend building project with the quality lumber and materials you trust. Keep the grass green and work easy with Ultimate All-Season Lawn Fertilizer and Eco Cordless Power Outdoor Equipment. This summer, don't just stay home, make home the place everyone wants to be. With the help of Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
I'm old, I'm white, and I don't understand any of it.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Sky is everywhere.
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work.
And good Tuesday morning, everybody. Back and rolling. Another edition of the Morning Blitz. Ross Volkmer, Garrett, Wellbrock with you here on the small station of the year. Rocket 102.5 KLOE. That's right. You're listening to the station of the year, according to the Kansas Association of Broadcasters here this morning. Congratulations to the staff and everyone that makes it possible. But that's right. Little old KLOE, station of the year, according to KAB. Good morning, Garrett. How are we doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing well. We are the shows this week could be a little rocky. I just want to give everybody just a little bit of I just want to make sure everybody understands that it could be a little rocky. We have a new system that we are now running here. And so if things don't go according to plan, I guess, then we've got a lot of trouble. So I'm kind of a little curious to see if this actually stops. I'm like really nervous that it does. Then it doesn't. So I was hoping it would stop, but it did not. But anyway, we have a new system that we are currently working on and trying to figure out and learn its ways. And so if the show is a little rocky this morning, I'm just going to apologize in advance for it because I am learning how to fly this new ship over here in Goodland a little bit, and we'll get it figured out and get the kinks ironed out. But it's just going to sound a little rocky from time to time here. But hopefully we'll be good to go. The hard part is I was talking with Lucas about it, is like I haven't learned how you can put in in our old system you could put in just like tell it to stop at this point, like play these commercials then stop, and it doesn't have that function, at least that I know what it is, and I need to find that function because that's a handy function to have. Because then I'm just when this thing's over, we can talk and just keep rolling on. And so anyway, we'll get that figured out and we will move along. We got a full show ahead for you here today. We've got Trivia Tuesday with Lucas Kenny coming up at the back end of the show. Big Ten Football Media Days, the final of the power conferences begins today, the first of 3 days. Nebraska, for my Husker fans out there, does not go until Thursday, so you've got some time. But Big Ten Football Media Days, first of 3 days, begins today. Also, of course, the message from Tony Petitti, which ought to be interesting to hear what he thinks on the state of college athletics and college football. So we have Evan Bland scheduled to join us here in the second segment. He joined me and Garrett yesterday in a pre-recorded interview, but he was unable to join us live because he's on his way out there and just doesn't quite know what the schedule will be like while he's out there. So he joined us yesterday, and we'll get some thoughts on him with Big Ten Football Media Days and Nebraska football ahead of the 2026 football season. So that's coming up in segment 2. And back by popular demand, a college football preview. We will be discussing Colorado football and talking about can they exceed expectations of an over-under prediction of 4.5 wins. So we will be getting into that here in segment number 1 in just a little bit. I do have to get to something this morning though, because I saw it and it's really gotten on me. I'm not going to lie. I saw this morning. I shouldn't say it makes me mad, but it does make me laugh. Is how I should put that. Is I saw this morning that On3 and ESPN reported an hour ago that Ohio State has signed a jersey patch sponsorship deal with JP Morgan Chase. How much do you think this deal is worth? It is for all 36 programs. All 36 programs of Ohio State will have a Chase Bank looking patch on it. What do you think that deal is worth?
Probably a good, what was the KU? Don't they have one too, their football team?
Yes.
And that was like,
That was I think is 12 million if I'm not mistaken.
I'm gonna go I'm gonna double that. I'll say like 25 million.
No, not that much. It's gonna pay around 17 million when it's all said and done. But once again, I'm not trying to bash Kansas. I want to bash the Big 12 because they once again have a patch on the football fields, on the basketball courts, on all the uniforms across an entire conference, and Monster Energy paid $20 million for it. Just $3 million more for an entire conference. JP Morgan Chase paid $17 million for one institution. One. Just want to once again reiterate that point. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that crazy? I told you, and I guarantee Texas is going to come out with something. It's going to be big.
Oh, yeah.
Over $20 million. I mean, right now, if you're the Big Ten, your tail is between your legs. You got $20 million for the entire conference. One school just about got $20 million for just its school.
Yeah, I tell you what, when the Big Ten and the SEC sign for one of these, it's going to be a very high number. Much higher. I'm just telling you right now. It's the way we're going. And trust me, I don't love this. I don't love the jersey patch stuff. I'm not a huge fan of selling out and things like that. But I just have to make a point that once again, you've got a deal out there that's worth $17 million and that's just for one school. And you've got, and for the Big 12, it's like for football and basketball, men's and women's basketball, football, that's for the Monster Energy for $20 million and for 16 schools. They once again, the Monster Energy fleeced them. They fleeced the Big 12. Or the Big 12, that was the best offer they got, and they took it, and it wasn't even remotely close to what it should have been. It probably should have been worth at least double that, right? If not triple. I would think so.
$60 million?
I would think 50 at probably at the lowest.
At least, yes. Yeah, anyway. So I had to get that off my chest this morning because I saw it this morning. I was like, oh my gosh. I knew this was going to happen, but here it is. Here is the facts to back it up. Yeah, watch. One school is going to make more money than the entire Big 12 conference in either the SEC or the Big 10. I can almost guarantee it. We're going to see that happening. Anyway, glad you're with us on the Morning Blitz. If you want to hit us up, F&B Bank text line is open and operational at 785-899-2222. I did see there was a text message about rain reports. I don't think we really got much rain that I saw in the area. I didn't see any. Maybe a few drops here or there. I did have some thunder last night that woke me up. I know there was some rain over east, like in Sheridan County and around the Hoxie area, but I haven't heard or seen reports of that here this morning. So FB Bank text line is open, 785-899-2222. It's overcast and cloudy here at the KLOE studios, but it's still quite warm, sitting at 76 degrees. We'll have a high, though, of 92. It's going to be a chill down day after 100 degrees. Yesterday in the afternoon, I kid you not, I think it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 2 o'clock. Yeah, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I went out to go pick something up for Joel, and anyway, I was out in town, and it was completely overcast, but it was 101. Can you imagine? Like, you don't see that very often where the sun's not out, yet it's still triple digits.
Yeah, that's the worst. It just feels muggy out. And yeah, last night or yesterday when I got out, got done working and started heading home, my car was reading about 107. So
yeah, it was hot. It was hot for sure. And then the rain came for some. Steve from Binkelman says he got 2 inches in 40 minutes yesterday afternoon. That's a lot of water in a short amount of time there, Steve.
That would have flooded my apartment.
Yeah. Third time's the charm.
It's probably going to happen a third time.
You never know. They got that drain cleaned out. They got that fixed.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. So anyway, let's get into the show today. Our first segment, of course, is sponsored by R&R Custom Building. Once again, Mike and Dax Reese want to make sure that your home is protected in case you get 2 inches of water in 40 minutes. With their 20 different gutter color options and experience, they've got the gutter machine and the experience to make sure that your home is not only looking its best, but is operating its best and keeping your home protected. And of course, they've got a great deal going on now for Goodland High School fans and supporters. If you get it done by them, they're willing to donate $1 back per foot installed to a GHS program of your choice. So you can upgrade your gutters and give back at the same time. Call Mike or Dax today at R&R Custom Building. That's 785-821-1432. 785-821-1432. R&R Custom Building, our sponsor of segment number 1, where we're going back to an oldie but a goodie. We talked about Nebraska last week, and back by popular demand, we will talk season preview for Colorado football this year. So I did all my research, did some studying up last night, brushed up on my Buffalo information. And so, Garrett, I'll let you take the floor here. What's over under 4.5 wins is the prediction for Colorado football this year?
Yeah, I did. I had to do my research too, because I'm not 100%, familiar with Colorado football myself either. But yeah, I looked at this team and that over under the 4.5, pretty daunting. They went 4-80 season ago. I think they get above that number. I think they're a better team than they were a season ago. They have a lot of skill talent, a new offensive coordinator, what's going to be, it seems like just from the reports, they're going to be a very high flying offense. The go offense is what it was quoted as, which, very high flying, going to be a lot of passing game. And I think it's going to be exciting to watch, especially with Julian Lewis in his second season for Colorado. I think they will be better for sure. Over 4.5 wins. I confidently will say they will hit that over mark. But my only concern here is their offensive line. Again, I think that's been the biggest issue, is the trenches. And, as you talk about a lot, Ross, that is the most important part of football. How are you going to win the trenches? And Colorado, really ever since Prime took over, has not done a great job of that. Maybe you could say the season they won 8 games with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter in their last seasons, but I don't know. It's been really struggled to stop the run and get a run game involved. And that's my only concern, really, going into this next season, on if they can get to that next level to where they're actually competing for a conference championship.
When I look at this Colorado team, you got to go back to the previous years. Coach Prime comes in and just takes over the college football world by storm in his first couple of years. And he does it because he's got unbelievable skill talent. His son is a highly talented quarterback. He's got, of course, one of the best two-way players we've seen in Travis Hunter. He's also had, that wide receiver core with Horn and some other guys on that very talented, extremely talented group of wide receivers that he brought in. Now, they really struggled to stop people defensively, but they were very good offensively, and that led to some 9-win seasons, a great turnaround. And then last year was the first year where all that talent was gone, and you could see the difference. Talent could not make up for the lack of certain things. Offensive line play, lack of defensive stops. That was where they were really, really lacking pretty much all through this time, but covered up because of great individual talent. I do believe this year they're going to take a step in the direction of maybe getting better in both. They're going to have better individual talent, and they're going to have a little bit better just all around, I think, scheme, I guess, if you want to put it that way. I do find it funny that, once again, go to the quote of Big 12 football media days, they were just out there chucking the ball around. Juju Lewis playing high school ball, really weren't doing much college stuff. It's a bad look for Pat Shurmur, the former offensive coordinator. It's a bad look for Coach Prime. It's not a good look for him at all when your quarterback goes out and says they were just winging it around the yard last year, not really doing much, not reading defenses. That's a bad look. And part of the fact had also the fact that Coach Prime was, let's just face it, he was not all in last year, and understandably so. He was fighting for his life with bladder cancer and all the stuff that he was going through. But this year at Big 12 football media days, you could see that Coach Prime was much more himself.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely had more of a spark, more energy, his typical self compared to what he was last year, where he was pretty much just getting by. And so this year, if I'm going to break, I'll start with just the roster. Returns again, a ton of different transfers have come in. I don't know. I think they only have a total of 6 returning starters from last year. 6 returning starters. One of them, of course, being the quarterback, Juju Lewis. So they're going to have a quarterback who I think is going to be better. I think he's going to be you mentioned a change in offensive coordinator, Brennan Marion. who was the one-year head coach at Sacramento State last year. They had a great year. Were one of the top offenses in the country in the FCS. Prior to that, he was at UNLV as the run game coordinator, which is interesting because they talk about how they could run the football a lot better, and they say Coach Primus said that they should be able to run the football a lot better than they have in previous times. I think they chose not to run the football in his previous 2 years with his son because he wanted to make sure that his son
trying to get him drafted.
Yeah. So I don't think they really tried to run the ball ever. And so I look at it and I'm like, well, maybe now they're going to try to attempt to run the ball. They brought in a couple transfer running backs. One of them was a guy who was at Alabama who didn't play for 3 years. But heck, if you got recruited at Alabama by Nick Saban, you must have had something. I'm with you. I think they have a lot of skill talent. I think they brought in an All-American from San Jose State as one of the wide receivers. The question, once again, as you said, and correctly so, offensive and defensive line, are they going to be able to protect their quarterback? They brought in some guys. They have some guys that, their offensive tackles I've read could possibly some NFL draft picks, but are you going to be able to protect your quarterback on a consistent basis? You could do that if you ran the ball a little bit better, and maybe that's going to maybe help you out there. The go-go offense, as they call it, I believe is very, very fast-paced, very tempo, as you would expect go-go to mean that. So that could result in some more points and yards. I think they're going to score the ball again. Defensively, can they get some stops? We'll find out. That they got a transfer linebacker in from Texas who had over 130 career tackles there at UT. They have some nice pieces. They really, really do. The question is, can they gel together to play as one unit? And then how does the schedule break down as you have on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream? I looked at that schedule, and there's just a lot of games, as you can see by this perfectly, what's going to help me make my point. A lot of 50-50 games on the schedule this year for Colorado. A lot of games where if you can go out there and you can play well, you have a great chance of winning. But if you don't play very good, you're going to be you're going to have a chance to lose that. And so it's not like I look at this schedule and I'm like, well, that's a guaranteed win. Okay, Weber State, a guaranteed win. I feel pretty confident about that. I feel pretty confident, about maybe the Cincinnati, even though the Cincinnati game does not have a good, I feel better about the Cincinnati game and the UCF game. I feel decent about those games, but that's only 3 games. And I feel bad about, Utah and Texas Tech. I don't feel great about Kansas State. Don't feel great about Houston. Don't feel great about Georgia. I mean, there's 5 games right there that are 50-50 games, and I bet you could get to 6. So if you go that and you go 3-3 on those games, which would be really good. And then you're going to finish around the 5-6 win mark, I think, at this point in time. But that's my biggest thing I take away from the schedules. There's a ton of 50-50 games.
Yeah, I do. That's what I take too. And you would talk about line play. I think if the expectation here is 4.5 wins around that mark, I don't think the offensive line has to be spectacular by any means, but they just have to be better. Even like an average to above average line play from offensive and defensive standpoint. And then I think you start shifting those 50% win probability outcomes. I'm a little concerned about that start. The first 4 games in September, you have 3 true road games with Georgia Tech, Northwestern, and Baylor. And, you're only really obviously cupcake win in that stretch is obviously Weber State. So say you lose those three games all on the road. You're 1-3 going to play Texas Tech at home. I mean, at that point, is your season already shot? You talk about confidence with a young quarterback and just a completely new team. Are you really going to be bought in at that point if you have already almost played yourself out of a possible, Big 12 title or any shot of getting, to a high bowl game or a postseason in the playoff? That's what I'll be interested to see. How do they handle that September? Because 3 out of your first 4 games being on the road is not an easy test at all. I was a little surprised to see Kansas State on there as being 56% in favor of Colorado.
Yeah,
that one really kind of jarred out to me.
I don't know what this graphic you got from. I do question some of the percentages on this, but that's all right.
Yeah, no, I do too. But it'll be interesting to see if they can even be afloat by the time we get to October for Colorado's sake. If they are, say they're 3-1 at that point, then you go into a home game versus Texas Tech with some momentum. I think that sets up excitement in Boulder, but that's just going to be a question that has to be answered.
But here's the thing. You look at those those first 4 games. Those are games where you could say, well, we could win those games.
Absolutely.
We could win all 4, but we could also lose 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's what you look at. I mean, I don't think Georgia Tech is going to be a world beater. I don't really love their chances on the road, and Georgia Tech really runs the ball well, and I just don't know how improved this Colorado defense is going to be. But you know what? We've seen Colorado teams go on the road to open up a season and surprise teams. Did it in Prime's first game against TCU. So it wouldn't totally shock me, but they're going to have to stop the run against Georgia Tech. You go to Northwestern, and that's a 47% chance. I mean, who knows what they've got at Northwestern? They're a team that's been ravaged by, a lot of things, and I don't know if they can put all together. That's to me is a 50-50 game for sure. And the Baylor game, to me, even though it says 36% on that graphic, I feel like that's a 50-50 game. They have it's not like they're playing right out of the gate. We're going to play Georgia Tech and we're playing Northwestern, and then we're going to kick off with Texas Tech and Utah. Like, slide that Baylor game down a couple spots. That's where you really get in a bad spot there. Give credit to Colorado. They're playing some challenging games.
They always have, it feels like, in the non-con too. Now, they had Georgia Tech last year at home. They lost I think it was a 1-score game, and now you obviously got to go to their place. But I mean, remember they played when they played the year, they had TCU, they had Nebraska on their schedule, Colorado State. I mean, those were 3 pretty tough games in Prime's first season. And I think in his second season, they had North Dakota State, who is of course an FCS power, and then
they were at Nebraska that game following. Yep.
So
no,
I mean,
they challenge themselves. You're right,
absolutely.
And I give them a ton of respect for them for doing that. A ton of respect for them.
Yeah, I do think the path to 5 wins is there. Now, if you're a Colorado fan, are you really hoping? Like, obviously, 5 wins is a step in the right direction, but I think you're still hoping for at worst a bowl game, and the 6 range. I mean, I can see it happening. I can honestly see Colorado winning and maybe getting 8. You keep saying the 50-50. I mean, this Big 12 is such chaos. It's so chaotic, right? You got Texas Tech, you got BYU, and then it feels like there's just a big gap. I actually saw this article this morning about they feel like Colorado can compete in the Big 12 and maybe for the Big 12 championship, because they ran a simulation on College Football 27, and there was, I think they did 26 different simulations, and mainly BYU, Texas Tech were the winners, but Colorado, K-State, Baylor, and TCU all at least won once. Colorado won twice. So that's just something funny to see on if, College Football 27 saying the Buffs can possibly win. We'll see it if it actually folds out.
I think once again, it comes back to how you start this season. If you are them, if you're able to get to 3 wins, all of a sudden you are staring at getting above that 4.5 win deal. If you can win 3 out of those first 4, if you only go 2 wins, that's going to make it a little bit more challenging, obviously. But I don't know. I'm going to take the over. The question is, are they good? Are they going to get to a bowl game? Are they going to get to got to get to 6 wins? Can they get to 6 wins to get to that bowl game?
I'll be an optimistic. I'll say yes. I think 6 wins is so. I just don't find it to be. I mean, it is difficult to make it to postseason and bowl game, but I think they will run into a couple of wins in the Big 12 enough, and I do think they can get 2-2 in that little stretch. I mean, you get 2-2 in September, then all of a sudden you just have to go 4-4 the rest of the way. I think they can do that.
I think I'm gonna have to land on the other side. I think I'm seeing a 5-win season. I think they're gonna be improved, but I just don't think they're gonna make the bowl season by way of 6 wins. I don't see it. I like the Texas Tech, the Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Arizona State, Houston. Those games all there are teams where I see them struggling with. Now, maybe they can knock off one of those. I don't want to say they can't. But the Cincinnati, I feel good about Cincinnati, UCF, Northwestern, Weber State, and then either Georgia Tech or Baylor, and maybe picking up another win in there somewhere in there. If they don't get that, I feel like they get to 5 wins. I just don't know if I get much past it. There's just too much new, too much unknown, but that's the thing about the portal. You never know. These new guys come together, they gel perfectly, and all of a sudden Colorado's a team that was predicted to finish, 71st, in the overall rankings of college football, and all of a sudden they're in the top 30. You just never know. It's so different than, it used to be a lot easier. I said it many times before. It used to be a lot easier to make predictions on the season because you kind of knew what you had based upon previous years. Now, every year is new, and it's so hard to predict.
I'll predict that the go offense, it just clicks. I think they'll find a way. They'll have the skill position guys to do so, like they always have been able to. I think Julian Lewis, they find themselves on the right side of things this season. Not saying they're going to be 8 wins, but I think 6 wins is doable.
I think you're going to see their offense, which ranked 114th last year at 21 points per game, skyrocket by another touchdown. I think they're going to be around 27, 28 points per game. The question is their defense, which allowed 30.5 points per game, was 111th in the country. Can that get any better? That'll be the question. Can it be better there? Can they get those numbers turned around? Once again, you're going to have to improve that. I don't know if they can cut that down by a whole touchdown or not, but maybe by 4 or 5 points. That's still more than that's still giving up less than what you're possibly scoring. But I would agree. I mean, I feel confident we're going to see a much more prolific offense from Colorado this year than we did last year, for sure. So, real quick, a thought from Lucas says there are so many times I felt felt that I could have done better than some of those linemen. That's saying something.
Get Lucas out there at the left tackle position.
He was a guard.
Was he a guard?
Put him at the guard spot. Yeah,
all right.
Put him there in the middle. The road graders. But I just, once again, they didn't try to do anything. They pretty much were. When you're a team that they were prior, which is let's just go back and chuck it. As an offensive lineman, you just get set. You just get in this mode of, well, we're leaning back all the time. We're stepping back all the time. We're not firing forward. And it's very, very hard to, when you get in that mode of constantly going back to pass block, to then turn around and say, we got to push ahead and push forward. It's just not their thing. It's a hard thing to really get to do. It's a lot easier to get yourself banging forward all the time and then be able to step back and pass block. So I always feel like that hurt them in the previous, even though they won 9 games, and I'll give them a lot of credit for that because of the talent, but they just relied too much in some areas, as in those years with Shadur, for sure. Once again, I think this is an improved season, but I think they're going to be a little shy of a bowl. So I'll take the over, but if you would have put it 5.5, I think I have to take the under. That's where I'd sit on Colorado this year. But I will be fascinated to watch them.
Yep. I'll be the other way around. I'll say I'm taking over, but I think they will get to the 6 mark.
All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we are going to visit with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Big Ten football media days get underway today. Evan is a voter on the Big Ten preseason poll put out by the Cleveland Plain Dealer. We'll get his thoughts on the poll and thoughts on Nebraska football as they get set to begin Big Ten football media days. That'll be up on Thursday there in Chicago. Stick around. More coming up here on the Morning Blitz.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Tom Saludo with your overnight market report with the Anderson Trade Group on July 27th. In the overnight session, Depth corn is down 13 at 451 1/4. Beef down 13 1/2 at 473 3/4, and March down 13 3/4 at 489 1/4. August soybeans down 31 at 1217. Step soybeans down 32 3/4 at 1207 1/2, and Nove down 33 at 1220 1/4. KC Sep wheat down 4 at 741. KC Dees down 4 at 757, and March KC down 3 3/4 at 769. The Dow Jones is currently up 600 points at 52,732. The S&P is up 65 points at 7,512. NASDAQ is up 395 points at 28,682. Gold is up 15 points at 4,086. and silver is slightly up at $59 an ounce. Crude oil down 6% at $84.17 a barrel. If you're out in the Colorado market and have any grain to market or risk management questions, please call John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or you can call the Overland Park office, myself, Tom Saluto, Tyler Ghosh, or Jared Law at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Kansas corn farmers. Disease pressure can change fast during the season. The Kansas Corn Disease Center gives you field-ready information to help guide scouting and management decisions. See where issues like tar spot, southern rust, or corn leafhopper are being reported across the state, plus agronomic insights from our K-State plant pathologist partners. Before your next pass through the field, check the latest updates at kscorn.com. The Kansas Corn Disease Center is just one way Kansas corn is working for farmers, working for you.
If you want to really protect your corn and soybean acres, you need to take your protection to a whole new level with Elevest Insect Control. Elevest Insect Control provides fast-acting, long-lasting residual and broad-spectrum control of Lepidopteran insects and many other pests, including stink bugs. Elevate your ROI, elevate your residual control, and elevate your efficiency with Elevest Insect Control. Visit your FMC retailer or elevest.ag.fmc.com. Elevest Insect Control is a restricted use pesticide. Always read and follow all label directions.
Breaking down the plays, the players, and the passion.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
This is the Morning Blitz.
All right, moving along here on a Tuesday morning, July the 28th. Once again, an overcast start today, 76 degrees. Before we get to Evan Bland, did you happen to see the end of the TBT or that game with the TBT? I did not see it, but I've read all about it. My goodness.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of the game, but I saw the ending, and then there was a fight in the middle of the game, too. I mean, that was pretty, yeah, I kind of wish I did watch it now.
A fight in the middle of I think it was after the first quarter that happened between Kansas and Wichita State. I think a fight happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then that resulted in everybody, I think there were 11 players left to play, 5 for Kansas and then 6 for Wichita State. They had one bench player to play the rest of the game. I think Kansas wins in a low-scoring affair, understandably so. But, I mean, I don't know, I just had to laugh at that. And then after the game, there was another fight, right? I think their fight broke out post-game.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, actually, but I saw the one during the game, but I had heard about that one after. It's just funny. Someone's like the malice at Coke Arena.
The malice. Well, heck, Billy Preston was back for Kansas.
Yeah. He played he played like an exhibition game, maybe a first non-con of the year for KU, and
does he even count?
I don't know. Wichita State, like their team, they weren't all shockers, and I mean, I think KU had pretty much all Jayhawks, but like some of the guys on even K-State's team too, they're mostly alums, but there were a few guys that weren't. I mean, I know Shocker's like best player was
this whole
not even. Yeah,
end of July, rough.
Well, it's the only thing on TV, so I guess it gets us through the dog days of summer, I suppose.
Well, I don't know. Is
maybe
it? Wow. I tell you what, that was rough.
Yeah.
Anyway, today, of course, Big Ten Football Media Days gets underway from Chicago. Nebraska, of course, a part of the Big Ten, will be speaking on Thursday. Not today, not tomorrow, but the final day is when Coach Matt Rule and players will be speaking to the media. But Big Ten Media Day gets underway. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald joined me and Garrett yesterday to talk about multiple topics surrounding Nebraska going to the Big Ten Media Days and, of course, Nebraska football. We start off talking about, though, his thoughts on Nebraska being picked in the middle of the preseason poll. They were picked to finish 11th out of 18 teams in the preseason poll done by the Cleveland Plain Dealer.
voters in that thing. So it was, a challenge, I thought, to go through and try to parse out what the Big Ten would look like over, the 18 teams coast to coast in an era when you have so much turnover from year to year with the rosters. I thought Nebraska at 11 was probably about right. It was a little bit lower than where they had been the last 2 years. But, there's a lot to prove. And Nebraska hasn't really played a lot of nationally relevant games late in the season in a long time. And so they're kind of in that mix right now with the Minnesotas and the Wisconsins and maybe the UCLAs of the world. And so I think that it tells you there's a big middle class in the Big Ten's neighborhood. Nebraska's not on the streets, so to speak, but they're not certainly in the penthouse either. And I thought the poll reflected the reality that at least right now, it really appears there's 3 contenders for that league crown and probably 3 favorites to make the college football playoff in Ohio State and Oregon and Indiana. So we'll see how some of those talking points play out this week with those teams as well. Certainly Indiana's presence is fascinating after what they did last year, just breaking the mold of what seemed possible in college football. So a lot of, I think, interesting storylines. You have new coaches. You have a dozen different quarterbacks that'll be on hand in Chicago. And it kind of feels like the unofficial start of college football season, certainly for people that follow the Big Ten.
What's kind of one of the biggest things that you're hoping to learn about this Nebraska team when they do take the podium on Thursday?
There are some years where Nebraska football doesn't really leave the spotlight in the off season, and you have a pretty good sense of what's going on and what they're going to say. I would say this was a year where it was much quieter than it typically is. Some of that had to do with the way that last season ended with 3 straight blowouts to Penn State, Iowa, and Utah, where I think there was an acknowledgement within the program that the fans are sort of in a prove it mode here. They want to see the results, and there really isn't all that much that can be said between the end of the year and some of these bigger games that are coming up. I think some of it had to do with the success of other sports. I mean, people jumped on the men's basketball bandwagon. Softball and baseball had great spring seasons, and so there were a lot of probably welcome distractions there. But it sets up this media days now where Matt Rule's more or less been off the radar for 4 full months since the end of the spring game. And so what's the tone that he sets? What's the message that he wants to come in with? Is it one of confidence? Is it one of a little bit of humility and kind of acknowledging that the results are going to have to follow? I think that's probably the most interesting thing. And there's something about media days in general where the things that happen there tend to stick in the minds of fans probably a little bit more than a standard press conference, on campus or things like that. Some of the proclamations that are made or predictions that are made. I'll be curious to see what, if any, of those sorts of items come out of this week as well. But I think probably overall, you're going to see a similar tone from the players and from Matt Rule about it. It's been about working hard, putting in the reps and the sweat behind the scenes, and hoping that translates onto the field. So I don't know if we're going to get any major bold storylines that come out of it, especially on a day when Indiana and Michigan are both talking as well. But certainly it'll be a welcome change and a departure from past seasons when we hear Matt Rule and Nebraska football jump back into the talking realm here this week.
We're visiting with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline this morning. Evan, I want to get to more of the thoughts of just you talked about how there really hasn't been a whole lot of talking by Matt Rule or really the football team this entire offseason, which is something that is pretty rare to see. I mean, I was kind of joking. I mean, we've seen more from Fred Hoiberg and the basketball team during the summer months than we have from the football team. So I'm kind of curious, what do you make of the almost the silence surrounding the football program during the lead up time into their season here in just a month or so?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think some of it is self-awareness on the part of Nebraska. I mean, Matt Rule said in the spring, he acknowledged, look, there's probably not a lot I can say that's going to win over a fan right now after what happened in November and December. It's going to come down to winning the line of scrimmage and executing in close situations, tight spots during the season. And so, you contrast this spring with a year ago. Matt Rule was rolling out podcasts, which they used as recruiting, branding opportunities. They had the Chasing 3 documentary that they had behind the scenes that they invested a lot into and released that, I think, on a couple of different occasions to fans. So there was, I think a year ago, it was about building awareness, and there was this anticipation of the year 3 Matt Rule phenomenon, which played out at Temple and at Baylor in his stops there. And it just didn't manifest. And so I think you probably have to give a good amount of credit to Nebraska for realizing that a lot of the points that maybe they would want to make in a different situation just wouldn't hit home right now. And so I think they're kind of going back to their roots and doubling down on the work that they are putting in this offseason. And they're integrating a bunch of new coaches, including a defensive coordinator in Rob Orich, who was accomplished at San Diego State in his previous stop. And they're trying to develop younger players and invest in the guys that they brought in and all these other things. So I think they just kind of probably realize internally there's not a huge clamoring for messaging from the football side of things, again, especially with some of the other sports and how those things played out. It probably played out pretty well for Nebraska, being able to sit back and let those other sports take the spotlight for that time. But again, now you're in Chicago, the Big Ten Network cameras are on you. Dozens of reporters will be there, including me, chronicling what's said and what's done. And so you've had 4 months to establish what that message is going to be. I think it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Of course, the Big Ten, kind of the last power conference team to have their media days, and there have been fireworks at the Big 12 with the Brendan Sorsby situation. Of course, the SEC a couple weeks ago, they're talking about possibly breaking away from the NCAA. Across these next 3 days, what's kind of going to be the Big Ten storyline that feels the most important heading into the year?
Well, I think, the Big Ten just has so much leverage in whatever they want to do. I mean, if they want to make some changes, say to expand the college football playoff, they can push that agenda. But if it doesn't work out, you know what? It's worked pretty well for them to this point, too, with national champions in each of the last 3 years. So you contrast, I think, what happened at SEC Media Days, where they talked a lot about going to a 9-game schedule, conference schedule, and how difficult that's going to be and why this is the deepest league in the country, with what's going to happen at Big Ten. I think there's going to be a little bit of scoreboard pointing. I think there's going to be a message of things are working out pretty well for a league that's the most well-resourced, that's been winning at the highest level, that has TV contracts with multiple different major networks. Like, things are going pretty well for them. So you'll probably hear some of the CFP talk. You'll probably hear, some dialogue about potential NIL reform or how you tweak the transfer portal. But I don't see this being nearly as radical, disruptive, whatever you want to call it, as some of these other leagues that are trying to catch up and close the gap. I think the Big Ten has proven, certainly over the last couple of years, that it is the standard bearer right now in the sport. It has, coaches that are winning at a high level. It has star quarterbacks and other players in the fold. And so I don't think there's probably going to be a ton of agenda pushing. I think it'll probably be just as much a celebration of what it's been as much as it is, pushing for further reforms in the future.
Evan Blankenty, our guest from the Omaha World Herald, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. You mentioned Rob Orich and the new Nebraska defensive coordinator. Nebraska's also got a brand new offensive line coach in Jeep Wade, and they've both, especially Wade, has gone out and pretty much completely reconfigured that offensive line. You figure Orich, who's done it really well at multiple different stops and multiple different levels, has really done a good job in his first year of revamping the defense. Of those two, the whole entire defense and the offensive line, which one do you think we'll see have the most significant improvement in this first year of their coaching?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's probably Jeep Wade, and he's already had an outstanding offseason for what it's worth. I mean, he had a couple of big portal wins in who they brought in, a couple of high school commitments that were big deals for him as well. And I mean, that's frankly the spot that they invested in the most in the transfer market in the offseason. You've got Three new guys in with SEC experience, or in Brendan Black's case, 3 years as a starter at Iowa State. In the Big 12, you're probably your top NFL draft prospect is your left tackle, Elijah Pritchett, who's back for his senior year, and your homegrown guy is your center, Justin Evans, who's a senior and one of the most accomplished returning centers in all of college football. So you match that experience, the financial investment, with Wade's track record of developing guys. I mean, he just produced a first-round pick at Georgia Tech last year. I think it sets up pretty well, and it works out for Nebraska in the sense that they don't have an Emmett Johnson this year to lean on as a star running back. It's probably the most fluid position on the offense. So if you're going to protect your quarterback and Anthony Calandria and establish a running game, I think the offensive line is going to be really key to that. It's not to say the defense won't be improved. I think the storyline of Nebraska moving to a 4-man front from the 3-3-5 they've been in the last 3 years is fascinating and probably something that'll benefit them more long term. But certainly, I think when you talk about this season, the impact of Wade and the impact that of that investment and that offensive line is going to pay off in a big way.
Yeah, you talk about the new defensive scheme, and then of course Anthony Calandria, quarterback. Just a lot of changes, it feels like, for Nebraska from last season to this season. How does this Nebraska Cornhuskers team kind of come from that middle of the pack and make a jump in the Big Ten to some of those bigger dogs, like possibly the Oregons or the Indianas, and start competing with those types of teams?
Well, I think part of the frustration from last year is you had the schedule lined up to make that jump in year 3, and now you have all of the big 3 in the league back on your schedule in Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. So it's very possible Nebraska could be decently better than it was last year, and the win-loss record may not reflect that. But I think for Nebraska, it's the storyline that's plagued them for 5 to 10 years, which is how do you win close games? I mean, Nebraska's playing a ton of them, and they're losing the vast majority of them, and it's come in different ways. They've come from ahead and lost, comebacks that have fallen short, key turnovers. I think some of the probably common threads that they're looking to fix would be execution on third down, and I think having a mobile quarterback in Anthony Calandria could be something that fixes that. That was not an option for them the last 2 years on a third and medium for their quarterback to pull down the ball and run. It just wasn't part of his skill set. So if they're able to convert some of those clutch moments, I think will be key to see. And then really for the better part of, beyond their time in the Big Ten, like they've really struggled with the turnover margin. They finally got back in the positive on that last year. But sometimes it just comes down to, can you take care of the football? Can you play the field position game instead of throwing the interception and be comfortable in some of those tight games late and know that your plan is going to pay off and that the training that you put in is going to manifest in the fourth quarter? I think those are areas where Nebraska has struggled. And so when you look at a Big Ten that's just there's so much parity in the league, it comes down to how can you win in the margins? Can you save a turnover here? Can you get a key third down stop or conversion there? Can you have an explosive play or two? I think that's another thing for Nebraska is they've relied probably too much on having to put together long drives these last few years. Can they find some explosive plays on offense to lessen that burden? I think all these are little things that could add up to 3, 4, 5 points a game. And if they can do that consistently, you're talking about swinging 3 games and having the kind of season Nebraska hasn't had in well over a decade now.
He is Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald. Evan, I got to ask, last year, Vegas, the year before that, Indianapolis, you're back in the basement of, I think it's the Hilton Hotel in Chicago, something like that. Are you excited about the scene change again for Big Ten Media Days this year?
I'd put Chicago probably third on that list. They were last there in 2019. It was fine. You got to navigate downtown Chicago. As it happens, Lollapalooza is right across the street this year, so that'll add another little layer to it. But I like Indy probably the best. You're on the football field where the championship game was played. That was a pretty great setup. Vegas last year was kind of strange having the Big Ten there, but it was accommodated well. And So I guess they're going back to their roots. So I'm not going to complain. I'm a Cubs fan, so we'll see how that week plays out. But I'll put it at a solid number 3 right now.
Are you going to be able to get away for a Cubs game, or are you just going to go catch out a Lollapalooza event there?
Well, I mean, Lollapalooza is like literally right across the street from the media hotel. So I'm not sure how much free time there will be. I think the plan might be to hit, it pains me to say this as a Cubs fan because they're out of town, but we might see Yankees, White Sox earlier in the week to kind of set the tone. But again, no complaints here. It's going to be a ton of fun. Just as long as the temperature comes down just a little bit, I think we'll be all set.
He, once again, is Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald. Evan, thank you so much for squeezing in some time with us. We really appreciate it. Safe travels to Chicago and back.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Once again, thanks to Evan Bland joining us on the Morning Blitz yesterday. Let's take a quick break. Come back with Trivia Tuesday with Lucas Kenny next in the Blitz.
At Nextech Wireless, we believe technology has the power to inspire, connect, and prepare future generations for the world ahead. That's why we're committed to providing the latest devices and dependable service that our communities rely on. And for a limited time, get the iPhone 17e and an iPad A16 with unlimited data for just $50 a month. Nextech Wireless, connecting Kansans.
Where do the best memories happen? Not in the living room. They happen out back. Build the perfect backyard with patio furniture, fire pits, grills, and smokers from Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Then tackle that fence, new roof, or weekend building project with the quality lumber and materials you trust. Keep the grass green and work easy with Ultimate All-Season Lawn Fertilizer and Ego Cordless Power Outdoor Equipment. This summer, don't just stay home, make home the place everyone wants to be. With the help of Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby.
Summer's made for road trips, lake weekends, and getting out of town, and Hurl Chevrolet GMC has the ride to get you there. Drive a new 26 GMC Terrain with $1,750 in total customer cash when you finance with GM Financial. Or take home a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 Elevation with $7,000 in purchase allowances with eligible trade-in or 1.9% for 60 months. Plus, save $1,000 in the 26 Sierra 2500. Adventure starts at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Online at hurlchev.com. GMC, professional grade.
It's game time.
What time is it? Game time.
You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
All right, we're coming up on the end of a show here. We're going to have a quick Trivia Tuesday with our man Lucas Kenny, who joins us in studio here in Station of the Year, KLOE FM. Morning, Lucas. How are we doing today, buddy?
Pretty good. Morning, gentlemen.
Morning. Let's see. I got to figure out this new system here. So once again, I apologize if this. Okay, that worked how I hoped it did. So that was good. We've learned something new today.
Yep.
We've learned something new today. All right, let's get to some Trivia Tuesday music here. Why don't? All right, Lucas, what do you got for us today?
All right, we'll try and get some speed here. So Salvador Perez did just break George Brett's Royals home run record of 317 with his 318th home run. Who is now in third with 197?
Alex Gordon.
No, sir.
Amos Otis.
No.
Is he a recent player?
I don't believe so.
It's not thus recent. He would not.
Yeah.
Oh, golly. Who would it be?
Mike Sweeney.
There you go, Mike Sweeney.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Mike Sweeney.
Okay.
All righty. So this one, an NFL question. You guys were talking about Jacoby Brissett yesterday. He's played for 6 NFL teams. And with that, you'd think he'd have beaten a lot of the 32 NFL teams. You'd be incorrect. He has a 20-45 career record.
He doesn't win.
What 4 quarterbacks have beaten all 32 NFL teams?
Tom Brady.
That's the most obvious one, in my opinion.
Yes, that would be obvious.
I would say Peyton Manning probably too.
Peyton Manning, yep, that's 2.
I was gonna say I would say Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he's beaten the Packers since he left.
And if this is his last season, he won't get a chance to.
Yeah,
they don't play the Packers.
Dan Marino.
Not Dan Marino.
I don't know. Let's see who else has been around.
Joe Montana.
Oh yeah,
not Joe Montana. He had 28.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Two you could consider of the best quarterbacks of all time. 2 that one maybe not in the conversation, but the other
Johnny Unitas.
No.
Okay. Hints on the team.
Let's see. One was drafted by the Chargers.
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, yep.
Okay.
Oh, Brett Favre, maybe?
And Brett Favre.
Brett
There
Favre.
you go.
Brett Favre.
Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning.
All
right. This one's going to hurt me a little bit. Nebraska and Colorado have had quite a football rivalry throughout the years, recently being revived in the last few years. And Nebraska took the last game. Nebraska also has the all-time record, which I'm not going to say because it's quite embarrassing. Who had the longest streak, and how long was it?
I'm pretty sure Nebraska had to have the longest streak.
Nebraska does have the longest streak.
And how consecutive wins over Colorado?
Wins, yep.
I'll say like 8.
It's more than 8.
I'm going to say 16.
Close. It's 18. They won 18
wow.
straight from 68 to 85.
Yeah, there was some dominant right there.
All right, the last one, of course, LeBron James being in the headlines once again. These in recent, he has 4 MVP awards throughout his career. There are only 4 other players to have as many. Can you name these players?
4 other what? Repeat that real quickly.
4 other players to have 4 MVP awards in the end.
Wilt Chamberlain.
History. Wilt Chamberlain is one.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
And there's one more.
Bill Russell, maybe?
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
That was all 4, and
Look
that's
at
all
the
my
young
trivia
buck
questions.
digging back to the days of black and white television.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent work. Thank you very much,
Yes,
there,
sir.
Lucas.
Good
Excellent work
trivia.
today. Good trivia today.
We
my
actually
friend.
got them right this time.
Yeah, we actually know what we were talking about today. What do you know?
Yeah.
These guys do know sports. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show. No time for the walk-off today. We're past due, but thanks, Lucas, for coming in. Appreciate it. Royals and Rockies tonight, real quickly, are on the docket for tonight. Rockies are in San Diego. Royals taking on the Twins, which you can hear on AM 790 KXXX. So that's the latest. Anything you got to add there, Garrett, before we get out of here?
Don't got anything, no.
All right, Lucas?
No, sir.
All right, that's it for us. Have yourself a wonderful Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. It's been the Blitz.